Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is the crazy SNP, who are trying to put something through Parliament in Westminster that will allow Holyrood to look after its own immigration and give us the right to give people visas to work in Scotland. This is right up there the most bonkers things they've tried to push Westminster into. And I don't believe they're trying to push them into making a yes decision. I think they're pushing them into the expected no decision, and I'll explain why in a minute. So that they can do that thing again where, oh well, there's Scotland, there's Westminster stopping us controlling our own immigration. Now, there's a lot of reasons that this is a totally bonkers thing to try and wish for. A couple of them are specific to Scotland, but the most important one, as far as Westminster's concerned, is the knock-on effect it would have to the rest of the United Kingdom. So I'll cover the Scottish things first and the reason why it's bonkers, right? We, as a country, as Scotland, were told about 6 months ago by Holyrood that we have a national housing crisis. We do not have enough houses for the people that are here. And what the SNP are suggesting here is, well, look at, we want more. I'm not convinced it is either. I'm convinced they know the answer's going to be no. As the immigration problem becomes even worse across the UK, they can turn around and say, well, it's their fault. We wanted to control our own immigration. So they're playing both sides of the same story here. For those who want Scotland to welcome immigrants, they're pandering to them and saying, well, we tried. And for those who don't want immigration levels to come down, they can say, well, we tried, but Westminster would not let us control immigration. So it's bonkers either way. But the biggest problem with trying to get Westminster to agree to it is very, very simple. Westminster is responsible for the whole of the United Kingdom. And in case you've not noticed, we don't have a land border between Scotland and England. So if Scotland welcomed in whoever they wanted, there is absolutely zero we can do to contain those extra people in Scotland. And it would be quite easy for anybody to come under a Scottish visa and then argue that they'll just go to Bristol. And none could stop you. You want to go to Wrexham or you want to go to Belfast, you'd off you pop. So for that very simple reason, it's impractical and impossible for Westminster to agree to this, because it would be the exact same as the gender recognition bill that Scottish Parliament and Holyrood passed, which got knocked back by Westminster. They overruled it and they said that you would then have a two-tier system in the United Kingdom. You simply couldn't have that for the topic of self-recognition and the gender question. So you can't do the same with immigration. That you can't do the immigration for the same reasons, I should say. Sorry, I got that mixed up a bit. So it's bonkers. I'm not going to accept it. You just simply couldn't, because you are allowing one part of the United Kingdom to bring these people in and allow them free movement to any part of the United Kingdom, unless you had a border. Just completely bonkers. And now what they're doing, by the way, it's going through tomorrow. This is Thursday. It's going through tomorrow as a private member's bill in Westminster. And there's a story covering a bit of this in the Herald yesterday, which says Sarwell's been urged to back the Scottish visa to boost the economy. Now, the other thing you've got to factor in is, and I'm going to do a separate story on this, Glasgow City Council and SNP Council, they became a city that would help dispersal city, the only dispersal city in Scotland, and we got something like 4,000 extra immigrants came, and the place is bursting. So the SNP Glasgow Council are actually trying to renege on taking any more asylum seekers and illegal immigrants. So what you've got now in the SNP is playing two sides of the sword again. Glasgow is saying we don't want any more, and SNP head office in Holyrood are saying let's get some more in if you don't mind, and it's completely bonkers. So anyway, this story. So they're taking this down. Sarwar's been urged to support it, by the way. He's meant to help them get this through Westminster, which I don't really know how that's possible because Holyrood will not be voting on it. And the last time I looked, Sarwar sat at Holyrood. Anyway, Anis Sarwar has been urged to back calls for a Scottish visa to help attract overseas workers to Scotland. This will be overseas workers because we've got so many jobs that can't get filled in Scotland. Why not just go and find out the things that we don't have a lot of people skills in and go and teach our youth these skills? Then you don't need any immigration because I don't believe we've got a massive skill shortage, a massive labour shortage. What we do have is people going into these job shortage. So let's try and energise our youth to do that. However, where do we get to? A private member's bill tabled by SNP's MP Stephen Gethins would devolve some immigration powers by amending the Scotland Act 1998, which established the Scottish Parliament and set out matters that are devolved to the Scottish Parliament and those that are reserved to the UK. The SNP have long argued that there should be more generous visa rules for Scotland because it relies on migration for population growth, citing other states, including Canada, as having differentiated immigration systems for provinces based on local needs. In 2020, in the wake of Brexit, which was expected to lower immigration to the UK, Nicola Sturgeon's government published a paper arguing for some devolution of immigration policy to Scotland. It argued that Scotland is more reliant on migration than elsewhere in the UK and noted that the population of Scotland would be failing if not for migration from the rest of the UK and overseas. Now here's a mic drop moment here, right? If the rest of the UK doesn't have skill shortages and Scotland does, why not encourage people from other parts of the UK to come here? Then you don't need any visas. But the problem we've got there is the Scottish Government have inflicted higher tax rates to Scottish workers than the rest of the UK. So someone living somewhere else in the UK, unless the cost of living was massively different, would turn out worse off coming to live and work in Scotland. So why not have an incentive for the people who are already in the UK to come to Scotland as opposed to bringing outsiders in? But you'll not want them either because you want to control who comes in. And the chances you get in one of the pesky unionists in if you opened the borders, attracted people from Northern Ireland, Wales or England up into Scotland wouldn't fit your narrative, would it? But if you're seen as a party that sorted this out to bring foreigners into the country, then they've got a wee bit of loyalty to you. Try and encourage folk out with Scotland who are already in the UK to the country. That might be better. But yet, perversely, your SNP council in Glasgow are trying to do the opposite. They're saying people already in the UK don't come to Glasgow. We can't cope with any more of you. Playing two sides of the sword again, eh? SNP has championed a positive message on immigration, arguing people from overseas can help fill vacancies, with more people paying income tax help generate revenue for public services. Well, that kind of is true, but what vacancies are not getting filled? Where are these massive amounts of jobs that we can't fill in Scotland? Could somebody point them out to me, please? I would love to know. A separate immigration system for Scotland has been supported by the think tank Reform Scotland, imagine that, chaired by the Labour First Minister Lord McConnell, who introduced measures allowing overseas students to live in Scotland for a period after graduation. Mr Gethins, who's MP for Arbroath and Broughty Ferry, has written to Scottish Labour leader to ask for his MP's support for the Devolution Immigration Scotland Bill ahead of the vote on the Commons on Friday. In his letter, Mr Gethins said the second reading is an opportunity to work together. Oh, the SNP want to work with other parties now on creating a Scottish visa and immigration system that works north of the border. You will know that the Scottish industries and the higher education sector are supportive on an immigration system that will keep our economy and our industries competitive and at cutting edge of innovation. What industries? Staying up to date with events around the world can be difficult, where it's impossible to consult a single source for the full story. Narratives that shape public opinion often just reinforce media and corporate-backed vested interests. It's hard to know what information to trust. See what the media is exaggerating, sensationalising, over or under reporting. That's why I've been using Ground News. Ground News is an app and website that combines news from around the world in one place so you can compare coverage. For every news source, you can see if it has any political bias, how reliable the reporting is, and who owns them. They even have a blind spot feed that highlights news disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. Take a data-driven view on the news and stay current. Get news from thousands of sources worldwide in one place. I've been using Ground News to help me get all the world's news in one place and give a more balanced opinion on what we read and viewing who is telling us the truth and who isn't. Subscribe via my link to get 40% off the Vantage subscription. It's the one I use to get unlimited access to every feature. Your subscription can not only help my channel, but also help Ground News, as it makes the media landscape more transparent. Please tell me what they are. We know from the UK Treasury's own analysis that Brexit has hampered our economy, but Scotland also faces a unique demographic challenge with both the overall population and the working age population projected to decline. I don't think that is unique, actually. For far too long, Westminster has made UK-wide immigration policy that doesn't work for Scotland. You can bring people into the country just now. There's a process in place already. Anyway, and I know that you recognise this, having previously acknowledged the need for a bespoke solution for Scotland. Prior to the general election, both you and Scottish Labour Deputy Leader Jackie Baillie signalled that UK Labour government would be open to talks on Scottish visas. Jackie Baillie said discussions made common sense, while you said you'd already held discussions with the Home Secretary. This is a commitment also made by former Conservative Minister Michael Gove prior to the EU referendum, who understood the challenges that taking us out of the EU would cause Scottish sectors. In this, we have proved right, but like in other areas, he failed to deliver. In presenting the proposal, I am putting forward a suggestion that has been supported by other political parties, stakeholders and leading think tank Reform Scotland, and it's my hope you will instruct your Scottish Labour MPs to rise above party politics and back our bill in the interests of Scottish economy. They're bonkers. They're absolutely bonkers, because this is all this myth that we've got this skill shortages. Well, tell me what they are. And you could probably, and if that's unique to Scotland, right, which you're claiming it is, that's your claim, then why not try and attract people from Northern Ireland, Wales or England? Well, we all know the big problem is any half-decent job's going to be paying more tax in Scotland than any of the rest of the UK. So, but that was your doing. So you can do this without Westminster. You could actually change the income tax back to normal, or even reduce it if you want to attract people from the rest of the UK. But you're quite resistant of that notion, which I find odd. So there we go. If you want others to see the video, please do 1, 2 or 3 of the following things. Hit the thumbs up button, put some comments below, and hit share. If you've not already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notifications bell. But, as I keep saying at the end of all my videos, the most important thing of all, unless you're one of these SNP folk that actually don't know if you want to bring more people in, like you suggest from your MPs, or tell people no thanks, like if you're the chair of the Glasgow Council, then no you. But
everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.